The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewers, welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. I'm your host Eunice Mugo. Today we are going to have part 2 on the rise of a sustainable investment. On this topic, on this show, we are going to talk about what you need to learn, how good of advice are you going to learn, to take home, so that you are able to invest with the right company, with the right channels, how to walk in this journey of investing. Join us, send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. On the show today, I'm not alone. I have guests whom I will allow them to introduce themselves. Welcome guests, starting with you.
Thank you, Eunice, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. Simon Munga is my name. I am the CEO of Diaspora Opportunities Media and Investment Advisory Services. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Simon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eunice. My name is Ayub Mwangi. I am the Communication Director at the Diaspora Opportunities Media and Investment Advisory Services. Yes.
Welcome on the show. Maybe to start with, maybe you can tell us why advisory communication media? Why did you choose to be advising people when it comes to matters investment?
If you look at the way the company is formulated, Diaspora Opportunities Media, we started as a media platform. And ideally what we are looking at is we were trying to look at how we can be able to share knowledge in terms of how the knowledge of how people can invest either here or when the people were in diaspora. And so the advisory services, we realized that investment is a knowledge business. And we said, why don't we share that knowledge with the people who are in diaspora so that nationally they can be able to invest with knowledge. Yeah, that's how we started, and by the grace of God, we've become the most reliable local food soldiers, so to speak, for diaspora community.
Wow.
Yes.
When you say advisory, how do you come about this to a new client? Maybe you can take us through in a layman's language where everyone can understand. How do you come, if I come to you, what advices do we expect? What is the process? Help us to understand this more.
Now, this is how it works. You want to invest and you live in the diaspora. One of the things you realize that people who live in the diaspora always have an interest at home and they want to do their investment. But they do not know what is that will give them returns. Is it real estate? Is it stocks? Is it bonds? Is it putting their money in the bank? What is it that they will do? So what we do as DOM, we come in and advise. This is what will help you. This is what will give you money in the long run. Maybe you have money that you don't want to invest immediately. You are looking at investing maybe in the next 3 years. You can put that money in government bonds, and in the 3 years time, you already have realized enough money to be able to go full swing into the project that you want to do. So that is how investment comes in. Yes.
Mr. Simon, you've said investment is a thinking or an advisory?
A knowledge business. It is a knowledge business, so to speak.
So to speak, when we say it's a knowledge base, is it that you are not knowledgeable? Is it that you don't have information? Or what is it about when we say it's knowledgeable based?
Number one, you find, especially because we are very vast with the market that we serve, which is a diaspora market, so to speak, you find that there are so many investment companies that go to market to diaspora. They go to market land, they go to market money market, and many things. And so you find that there are people who left this country 10, 5, 3 years ago. And this market or this country is revolving. That market trends are running so fast. So you find that the person who left this country 10 or 20 years ago, the Kenya he's talking about today is not the same Kenya he left.
True.
Or she left. So our work is to share the knowledge and help this person to understand the current Kenya and what opportunities are available for them that can be able to serve them today,
True.
either for retirement or whichever level of investment one is planning to uptake. Yes.
What is your take on the same, Mr. Ayub?
As he says, that it's all about knowledge. You know, an informed person is a knowledgeable person. So when you have information about the kind of business that you want to invest in, the returns that the business will give you, then you are more likely to make an informed decision, which you won't regret later. You know, many people invest in business which fail. You know, the rate of failure of businesses is very high. But when you are given knowledge that serves your needs and it's evidence is evidence based, therefore you are now able to make a decision that is sustainable in the long run. You will be able to realize the full potential of that decision once you are putting your money and you can see that your investment is returning in money as you wanted in the first place. No one wants to invest in a business that makes losses. And therefore, that is the reason why we are here, to provide the knowledge, to make our people know that once, if you want to buy this plot, for instance, this is how you go about it. This company is a credible company. The land has this kind of documentation. So, as opposed to when you want to buy and just put your money there, and then shortly after you realize that it was a hoax, and very many people have lost their money in those con and scam where the people who are providing these investment solutions are not diligent enough to help the people who are living in the diaspora. Yeah.
So what are the key principles that guide you through this approach?
Number one, I can say it's our currency is trust. The currency of dealing with the diaspora market is trust, because you find that the people who are in diaspora, they have money to invest. They have interest to invest. And so they require such a vehicle like ourselves, the DOM, to pass through. And just to answer to you the principles that we number one, we are God guided. That we know that by our experience, the people who are in diaspora, they earn their money in a very hard way. They work for hours. And so it's good when they send this money here, number one, to make sure that that money is used correctly. And so I'm sure there are so many stories you must have heard of why people lose money, that people have lost money. And so we now, that is where we created a niche in our business, so to speak. And we asked ourselves, why are people losing money? And then we came to realize there are a few reasons why people lose money. Number one, you find there are people who engage the people who are not qualified to do the service here. Number two, you find that you can engage people and then they miss on compliance of the investment that you are trying to support. And then you'll also find there are those unorthodox people, so to speak. There are people who are doing business knowing very well whatever they are promising that they are not going to deliver. And so we are guided by honesty and integrity in what we do in diaspora service delivery. And it is something that we are very keen about, because no one in diaspora, even here, who have not heard about those stories. about those studies. But we say now, what can we do about it? Because we need to support these people to invest. And so that is how DOM was formed. Thank you.
Thank you for the same. Mr. Ayub, what is your take on the same about the principle that guides you?
Like he says, it is all about trust. That we can be able to stand in the gap and be trusted foot soldiers of the people who live in the diaspora. And this is what it means. You realize that the diaspora people send in a lot of money. Like in April, they sent a whooping 41 billion shillings, which is good money for the national economy and for families that are related to those people who live in the diaspora. Now, some of the money doesn't just go to the family, it also goes towards investment. About 11% of that money goes into investing. Now, when they invest, they tend to lose their money. There are some people who lose their money. Maybe you did not do enough due diligence, or you gave the money to your relatives, because you trusted them. You wanted to create some job for them. And then they realized you are far away. You are not able to supervise your project on a day-to-day basis. And therefore, they start scheming a little of the money out of the remittance. Now, what happens is, when you come back to see what you have done, you realize that you have lost, quite a huge chunk of your money. So what we do as DOM, we come in as a trusted partner, where we can be able to say, this is your money. This is what you have sent us. This is what it has done. We actually account on your project on a day-to-day basis. We can be able to show you daily what is happening so that you have a record of the progress of your project. And that when you come back to see what has happened, you'll not be heartbroken to note that your money is lost. And we have seen it work. So trust, honesty, integrity, transparency is very key, or are actually very key guiding principles for us when we do this job. Yeah.
When you're doing all this, how do you collect data and information so that you can be at par with the current trends in the country and be able to educate the people who need all this information?
We do our own we do our own research and survey, so to speak. But allow me to appreciate the government because of the introduction of a diaspora affairs unit or department, and the good work that is being done by the PS, Madam Roslyn. And so if you look, the government is putting together a policy formulation review, whereby now it's putting everything for diaspora into perspective. That we know how much remittances are coming, as my colleague has correctly put. It's going now to almost 500 billion in a year, and the government is targeting to make it to make it 1 trillion. And so the government has put a lot of effort and investment to cushion the diaspora. And so, as you say, the government is putting the right policies on how to support the diaspora community. And number 2, diaspora community has been in darkness. And so these opportunities, number one, they've been taking advantage because by then the technology was not as at par as it is today. But today, at least the technology is high. The government has put an office And even in every consular, in every the diaspora unit, you find that there is no information that you would want to gather about this country and you don't get either investment or any other angle of information one is requiring.
Okay. What would you say on the same, Mr.?
Yeah, like he says, we actually rely on data based on what we collect, based on the needs of our customers and clients. And we also look at data from government. We ensure that we keep on understanding what the government is saying about the diaspora. One of the things that you'll note is that data is key in any decision making, because what data does is that it gives you evidence. So the government, for instance, the central bank will conduct a survey on the amount of money that comes in. And it will also tell you where does this money go, to whom does the money go. For instance, a survey by CBK showed that most of the money goes to mothers, followed by sisters and the brothers. Maybe coming a distance fourth is actually father. That is one. That is one source of data. There is other data like the International Fund for Agriculture and Development. It will also show us where is the money going. And therefore, what this does is that it helps us to also tailor-make our solutions to know what kind of solutions can we offer to our clients based on this data that we are getting from these credible sources, as it were. Yeah.
So also on the same, what is your target market analysis? What do you target on so that we can give the information? And the analysis, how do you collect them?
Yeah, I think our target market is 3 to 4 million diasporians, because we have an average of 3 to 4 million who are in diaspora. And these people, these are our market. And ideally, what we are looking for is, we don't only do, and that is why we call ourselves local food soldiers. Because investment, in fact, came as a need. Our main business is sharing knowledge. Because, yes, we are doing, we do project for clients, both residential and commercial, that is in terms of construction. We also guide them on money market and other areas of maybe where to do financial partner. But basically, we target the 3 to 4 million diaspora. And what we do is that we would want to share with them knowledge, so that when you have your million, when you have your 500,000 or 20 million, that rationally you shall be able to know, this is where I will put my money. Do you want to invest this money for retirement? Are you 20, 30 years and you'd want to retire back home? What kind of investment would you uptake today, and maybe in the next 20, 30 years it shall remain relevant? You get? So that is so I would say that knowledge sharing is more of our business too, and definitely directing. As I have said, there are so many investors, companies that are going to diaspora to promote their product and services. So these people can come to us and say, a company XYZ came and is promising a land in Naivasha. Some of them do not know where Naivasha is, Nanyuki or Moranga or Eldoret. So we can go there on their behalf and we tell them, this plot that is being, you are buying at 300,000 or 2 million, you can only do it. This is what you can do with it. You know, yeah. So that is our main role.
Thank you so much for that. Viewers, I hope you're learning as much as I am on how to look into things before you can put all your eggs in that basket. Is the basket leaking? Can the basket handle all the pressure that you're going to put in that basket? These are some of the things that we are learning today. Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 244. We'll be back shortly.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewers. This is Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking about the rise of a sustainable investment. What are your investment plans? What are the things you need to learn? What are the things also you need to unlearn? The knowledge you need, the information. Do you have the correct information? Do you have the correct people to give you the accurate information you need when it comes to investment? These are some of the things we are talking about today. Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. So, before we went on a break, we had talked about the market trends.
Right.
And now I would want us to talk on valuation methods. How do you go about the process of valuation when it comes to investments?
We call it a feasibility study, so to speak, on our end. We have a noun for feasibility study, and ideally what we do is before we invest, before the client invests, for example, if going by the bank standards, if today, for example, you want to put up a flat somewhere around Northern Bypass or Southern Bypass, and you need a financial partner, and you go to the bank, what the bank will do is that they are going to send their people there to come and do what we call feasibility study. If you want to do commercial, number one, the bank must be guaranteed that before they give you the money, they must be guaranteed that the kind of apartment that you shall put up there, you must guarantee them 8% uptick tenancy in terms of tenancy. Whereby now, if now you can guarantee them that, then what it means is that you shall be able to pay back its money. The same, we use the same benchmark. So, so if you have a property and you'd want to put commercial property, before even we tell you put a 4 or 5 level flat or building, we do the feasibility study, use benchmarking with what the bank does. And so we look at, even if you're financing this money, your own financing, then are you going to get, what is a break-even analysis to your project? What will be the break-even analysis to your project? How is your return on investment, you know? And then the other thing that we look at in terms of gain of the feasibility study, because it's not about return on investment, we also need to look at the compliance. Because many people do not know what connects the building and the land. Because when you have a land, for example, you can take your title deed and go to the bank, and the bank can give you money. If you put a house or an apartment, if you go to the bank with the same title, the bank does not only give you money, that does not give you money because you have a building. The first thing that they look at, it is a compliance. They look at, is it approved? Has the local authority approved your building to build there? Why do the local authority come on board? And these are the necessities of feasibility study and what you are talking about. It's because you can have a property with title, but depending with how you got the title, it could be on a public utility. And so, in future, that building will be brought down. and the bank gave you the money. Yeah. So the other thing is, once you have that building, how is it constructed? Has it met the necessary prerequisite for companies, organizations like National Construction Authority, National Environment Management Authority? Assume you want to put a morgue, and is a neighborhood agreeable to it? And so that is why we go to the local to do what we call the change of user. The people around there must agree with the business that you are putting. So these are very, very, very key element. So it's not just an issue of having a land and putting up a project. And so that is where we come on board and we help you. This is what you want to uptake. Yes, you have the land. This land can fit this. And then we also help you that in line with compliance. Yeah.
When we talk about compliance, these ones are the things to do with the government, the policy, and so forth.
Correct.
How do you work in conjunction with the government and the banks to ensure the client has the best information that they are supposed to have?
So DOM basically works for the interest of the client. And, we stand in the gap as the client. So if it is my project, what would I do? Number one, I want to buy the land at the most appropriate value. So what do we do? Look for a land valuer who will give you the estimated value of the land so that the client abroad is not, someone does not take advantage of them. So it gives you the value of the land as given by the land valuer. That is one. Two, when now it comes to compliance, we want to construct. Where do we begin? We must do the designs. Will the designs be approved? First, they have to be done by appropriate or approved architects and engineers. Okay, that is one. Then we must go to the county government, who will also approve the designs in line with with how the area is designed. For instance, you cannot do a high-rise in an area where they have done the law approves that you can only do a one-floor building. So we will actually be able to go in line with the approvals of the county. Then we must also be approved by the National Construction Authority. They must look at it, and all other government agencies that work in line in that particular area of our work. So it is upon us as DOM to ensure that we are actually working as the client. We don't want the client to lose. This is what the law says. This is the value of the land. If we put your money, you will not lose anything, as opposed to working behind the scenes to con people out of their hard-earned money. And as you realize, this money is not made in an easy way. So we don't want people to lose. And that is why we come in to sell trust, integrity, and transparency in the investment solutions that we offer to the people. Yes.
When we talk about land valuation and also giving an estimate of the price on the same, what do we look at? Maybe you can give us an overview of to a layman's language for the viewer who doesn't understand anything to do with valuation. What do you look at? Like you had mentioned, when you're doing valuation, you don't look at the building. So this is a land with no building. It's just a bare land.
Correct.
For me to know it values 1 million to 5 million, it values from 100,000 to 300,000. What makes this difference so that we can understand better when you're talking about the valuation when it comes to matters land?
Matters land is interesting because an acre in Karen, an acre in Georgia, and Sagana, the price is not the same. And so that is and the reason is you find socially the country or the regions are segmented, whereby this is for high profile, this is maybe for the middle, and so to speak. And that is why when you come to DOM, we take you to a credible organization, as my colleague has correctly put, an accredited organization that can be able to do variation, for you to do the variation, and they give you the actual value of your land, so to speak, saying this 1 acre, this is a real value. And you don't even need to go for, that's why even you find the bank, they have the panel of valuers that they send for the assignment, that this is a qualified valuers, RAD valuers, and then they know that once they bring them feedback, is quite authentic. So is important. It is important for every investor, number one, to understand the necessity of knowing the value of their property. And as you have put, if someone is now want to uptake either a commercial project, it's now good now to go through there to know what kind of architect are you using. Is it a qualified architect? Is it a qualified engineer? And as you have asked how we work with you, what the government has done today and has put this online. If you go to National Construction Authority website, you shall be able to know that the construction company that you are using, it's credible and it is registered. If you go to the Engineers Board of Kenya, you shall be able to find all the engineers that are qualified. So we share this information with the client so that they can be able to know. Because if I present myself as an engineer, then you can be able now to do the background check and go to the website of the Engineer Board of Kenya, and then you'll be able to know, is Munga a qualified engineer? I'm not saying that I'm an engineer, but now you'll be able to know that.
Maybe to interject on that, and also needing more clarity and information on the same.
Yes.
When you talk about matters of government putting up sites that you can vent to know this engineer is qualified, this company is qualified, and so forth and so on. How reliable is this information? Because if I am an engineer, I'm a registered engineer, it's just a matter of going through all the processes. And my question comes in, how reliable is the information? I've gone through all the processes, and I'm registered, I'm now on that list. Maybe to use a different form of maybe lawyers, we've had issues when it comes to matters law. This is a lawyer, but they end up, instead of verging for you as the client, you end up being lured into some gimmicks or scams or something. And you're thinking, this is a lawyer, certified lawyer, but instead of fighting for my case to win, it's like he's fighting for my case to lose. Now, when it comes to these issues of now engineers and all that, when it comes to matters building, we have a lot of buildings that you are being told they're not of up to standards. And this is an engineer maybe you've sourced from that site. How now do you say these engineers have reliable and reputable work?
As we have said, investment is a knowledge business.
Let us take a quick commercial break so that we can come back with full information on the same. Viewers, let's take a quick commercial break. Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144.
Everywhere GBS.
Welcome back, viewers. This is Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking about the rise of sustainable investment. What are you looking out to invest into? Where are you looking to channel your money to? These are some of the questions that we are answering. And before we went on a break, we are talking about matters to do with investment trends and valuation, and also looking at credible engineers, credible people to work for your money. So, Mr. Monga, maybe you can take us through on what we are supposed to. These people, how reliable are they?
Yes, the question you have asked that you find there is an authentic, so to speak, maybe, and you give an example of lawyers and maybe engineers. You find that many of these professionals, including lawyers, including engineers, they have formed associations. And these associations, the reason why they have been formed is so that they can be able now to protect their business, the authentic, whereby now, if you go like now, the Law Society of Kenya, they have all the accredited lawyers. And I can tell you for free, if you have an issue with a lawyer, you go to the Law Society of Kenya, you'll be sorted. Because the benefits, or the reason why these associations are formed, it's so that they can be able now to protect their professions and say, these are the credible lawyers, these are the credible professionals that we are working with. And you find all the many professionals they have put the association, and the reason why they have done that is so that now they can be able to protect their business. But allow me to say this, especially in investment and construction, you find that many people, and that is why DOM comes in, you find that many people know what to do, and the government has shared the correct information. The only challenge that we have with many investors, they would want shortcut. So you go and you find there is a professional engineer, and the charges they put on the table, you realize this is too high. And there is a man in the village or someone you know and tells you, no, I can, naweza kushikilia mjengo. And then you give the guy the assignment. You get. And so you find sometimes, as much as we would want to blame the professionals, as much as we want to blame the government, you find that even ourselves as clients, we also have a challenge because we want to use shortcut. We want to use cheap materials. We want to use cheap labor. And so to circumvent now this expense of working with the professionals, you find now those unorthodox, call them professionals, they come and tell you, you are being charged this much? No, we can charge you this, and we do the same. Go and look at all the projects that have defects, that they have issues. We relate very closely with the National Construction Authority team and all these professionals and even engineers. And I can tell you, you'll find there was a shortcut that was done. But where the professionals are used, you rarely will find that. We are not saying that you'll not find some weaknesses, but we are saying if you follow the correct route, especially when you use us, and we shall be able to guide you to the correct ones, then you cannot regret. Yeah.
Well, that one is so informative, because we'll find that people are being misled when it comes to also wanting to save every single time that you can be able to save. Moving on, maybe you can take us through the risk management. Maybe the risk how do you manage the risk that are involved when it comes to matters investment? Lands, may it be constructions, may it be buying shares, and so forth. How do you curb the risk management?
Now, this is how I would respond to that question. like I told you, we are standing in the gap as investors. And therefore, we are making sure that we do not lose, you as the investor, does not lose any of your coin because of engaging people who are unqualified or doing half-baked work, shoddy work, or circumventing government regulations and requirements. So the way we do this is that we go the full hog. We engage with professionals, professional engineers, professional surveyors, qualified surveyors, and this ensures that the projects which we have undertaken are actually up to the standards. There is very little, or probably where we have been, no defect reported, and this is for the simple reason that we are using the professionals, those who have been certified by the associations. They've been given their licenses to operate, and therefore, even when they do their work, because for every professional, the only thing that makes any professional stand is to uphold integrity, the integrity of the profession. And therefore, we ensure that we have their, we are aware of their practicing status, that they've been given the license to do the job. And therefore, even when they are now working with us, they ensure that they bring out the best of their professionalism in the job. And that way, we guard against any risks. Yeah.
Wow, that one is so informative. Maybe you can take us through investment trends. I believe that when it comes to matters investment, the market is not the same. January is not the same as March, is not the same as December, and so forth, so to speak. And 2020 is not the same as 2023. Things are changing, things are evolving. Yes. So maybe you can take us through the market trends and how you have studied the patterns so far.
Thank you, Eunice. I think when you talk about investment trends, when you talk about the market trends, we are talking about people. Because it's people who change in their needs, so to speak. Maybe what we feel it is in fashion today, tomorrow it shall have shifted to something else. And so the best way now for a layman to monitor on the market trends, look at the people's need. Look at what people are looking at today. Look at the needs of the people today. The phone that we were using 5 years ago, today you find it's not the same. Even the charger, the same thing, even the houses. You go to the houses and look at the interior. And so you find that many partners, including the manufacturers, talk of the writing. The writing that people are using even in studios like this 5 years ago is not what they are using today. So I think to answer you in how to monitor them all, and that is why organizations like ourselves, we become relevant. Because people invest for different reasons. There's someone who is 30 years, 40 years and in the diaspora. And this person has said, I want to retire back home, and I want to go back home after 10 or 20 years. So with the investment that they'll have put up today, will it be relevant then? So it is our responsibility to tell them this, whatever you do today, whether shall be of use in the next 20 years. So I think it's looking at it is looking at people's priorities, the social needs, the political need, the socio-economic angle of approach, so to speak. Yes.
Mr. Ayub, maybe you can tell us, what is your take on the same?
Basically, what is happening is that the kind of clientele that we deal with are people who are well educated. And people who are educated are basically knowledgeable. They, to quite some extent, know what they want. With some level, some very high level of certainty, they know what they want. And therefore, they know I want to invest in a house that in the next 4-5 years will give me return. And therefore, they go commercial. Or I want to do a house that I can rent, Airbnb. Again, they will build a house that conforms to those standards. It is no longer just constructing a house somewhere in the village and leaving it to be occupied by bats and spiders. No, people are looking at, if I invest my money in this project, what is it going to give me back? And how fast can it give me back my money? So these are the things that we are observing. And people talking to us are saying, how fast, if I put my money here, how fast will this money give me returns? And what is the level of returns? Because again, they don't want to keep sweating. You put your money in some form of investment. Instead of it appreciating, it starts declining or depreciating on the first day. So we are seeing a very informed clientele that knows what it wants, that knows the kind of money that it wants, and that is also looking at the future, in line with what we are talking about here, sustainable development or sustainable investment. And that is what we are actually seeing as the emerging trends. Yeah.
When you mention about putting value to where your money will give back value to you, would you give us some of the example of the things that it's trending currently on the market and how it is rated? Maybe top 5, saying this is the highest, this is the lowest, and the reason as to why it's being rated the highest in the market currently.
Housing, I can say, has been on very, very high demand, so to speak. And just to support what my colleague is saying, the government is a key indicator to look at where the people needs are going. However, you find there are people with land, and I want to give an example because it's something that we do and we have done, whereby you find someone with a land, and this person has a land but does not, number one, maybe know what to do with it. And so there's something we call joint venture, whereby you have the land, and then when you come to DOM, then we can be able to go to get you someone who will come with monetary resources and expertise and do the design of maybe the modern house. And then you bring them up. And then from there, then we'll also show you on how to do the sharing sources so that everybody else can leave the table happy. That is one line that it's coming up very well. We talk about housing in JV, and maybe the other thing is the bank today are looking for what we call the fixed deposit account, fixed deposits. It's more guarantee. The only thing that you need to ask is which bank am I putting my money, and also the money market. When you go to the government and you do the bonds and your treasury bills, it's more assured. It's a good way to invest. However, allow me to say this. Investment come on a need basis. How Eunice want to invest is not maybe how Munga want to invest, and it is not how Ayub want to invest. Because again, investment is also driven by ability. What is the ability? Because you might want to do, as you call, the top 5, but what is the ability today? And so, again, the issue of knowledge comes along.
Wow. When we talk matters property building, currently in Kenya, our president is talking about affordable housing. Would you say this is affecting you? Or would you say it's more profitable and more reliable when it comes to the president's mind is to uplift every Kenyan to be able to own a house or a place and move from these shambles of mabati house and clay house, and so to speak, to elevate them to be homeowners and also to live a stress-free rent house? When the government is talking about this, I would want us to understand, is it affecting you? Or is it in favor of everyone? Because you hear people, some are affected, some are not affected. What is your take on that?
Basically, it is the responsibility of government, constitutionally so, to provide housing to its citizens. The constitution mandates or actually compels the government to provide adequate housing to its citizens as a right. And therefore, when the president says that they want to impose the 3% housing levy for people to build, that is in line with government policies. And we are also part of the citizenry. So what we do is that we are basically complementing what the government is supposed to do. While the government may be wanting to provide housing to people who may not afford to build their own houses, we come in the gap and provide these solutions to people who can be able to do it. And those two extremes will always be there. People who can afford, those who cannot afford. So for us, we are able to help plug in with the people who can afford to be able to construct their 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, 5 floor apartment with a lot of ease. And the government, again, on its part, will continue with its mandate of providing appropriate housing. At the end of it all, it is the country that grows. It is all of us who live a dignified life, because there is if you lived in a house that is not appropriate, it's very indignifying. It makes you feel less human. But when we all of us live in better built houses, we all feel good, and it also helps in advancing our nation. Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm being told we are out of time, apparently. So briefly, in less than 30 seconds, would you give me your parting shots on that? Starting with you, Munga.
Yeah, what I would urge any investor, before you invest, is good to ask yourself, do you have the right knowledge in line of what you want to invest? Because that makes all the difference. It will make either you lose your hard-earned money or lose your investment, so to speak. And so it's always good to seek for that knowledge. And I would humbly request them to come to DOM, and then we shall be able to share that necessary information.
Thank you. To you, Ayu.
I actually want to appreciate for this opportunity that you have given us to come here and talk about investment and how people need to be informed so that they can make the right decisions. Now, information is power. And if you are informed, you cannot regret about making a decision that will cost you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. In a scale of 1 to 10, how informative are we? How informed are we when it comes to investment?
I would say 4 or 5%.
4 or 5. Viewers, I hope you've learned, as much as I have, how informed you should be before you put your money into anywhere. Let's continue this conversation offline across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. Till next time, have a nice time. Goodbye.